March is known for its madness in college hoops, and as we hit the stretch run in the Ivy League, there's a dogfight to make the conference tournament. Columbia is very much in the mix, hosting Brown tonight, and it's all next on SNY. Let's take a look at the current Ivy League standings. The Lions tied in 6th place, but only 2 back of 4th that would put them in the tournament with 4 games remaining. Good evening. Inside Levian Gymnasium, I'm Amy Lawrence alongside former Penn basketball player Kim Adams, and this is the nitty-gritty. It all comes down to this. Tonight's opponent, Brown, a strange dichotomy, if you will. They have the potential to be amazing on offense, but generally last in the league on defense.
That's right, Amy. They give up 78 points per game, last in the Ivy League, as you said. But when it comes to offense, they have a few lethal weapons. We'll start with the junior guard, Justine Gaziano, second in the Ivy League in scoring at just under 19 a game. Also leads the league in three-point field goal percentage. But you also have to worry about Shayna Mehta, third in the Ivy League in scoring, 16 points per game. And she does a little bit of everything. First in the Ivy in steals, second in assists, and you look at those numbers, these two more than 3,000 combined points.
When these two teams met 2 weeks ago, it went down to the wire thanks to some late-minute heroics by Madison Hardy.
And the freshmen have continued to carry this Lions team. Madison Hardy, 2 go-ahead threes in the final minutes. Brown would come back with some free throws, but Hardy, this second one, was the one that sealed it. Brown would have 2 layup attempts in the final 5 seconds that wouldn't drop. So this one certainly came down to the wire. And again, Madison Hardy, just one of many freshmen contributing for this Lions offense.
Here are those starting lineups brought to you by Nissan, proud supporter of college athletics. And Kim, as you just mentioned, 3 of the first years in the lineup for head coach Megan Griffith and Columbia. As for Brown, Taylor Will is back in the starting lineup. She missed the last 3 games, but she's been cleared from concussion protocol. Did not play in the first game against the Lions, but will be on the court tonight as the Bears and Lions get set to tip off at center court. Thanks so much for joining us on SNY, a Friday night in the big city with 4 games left for Ivy League women's basketball in the regular season, and we are underway. Columbia in the white home uniforms just beat Brown, as we talked about in the Open 2 weeks ago when they met in Providence. Sienna Durr's initial shot is blocked, but that ball remains in her hands, and she's able to get it up and in off the glass just for the early lead.
And right away, Amy, we are seeing the style that this Lions team likes to play. They like to get up in your face defensively, starting off with some full court pressure and a deflection.
As usual, Columbia's lineup is younger than any lineup they face, and that includes the Brown Bears, who do have a couple of seniors in that starting lineup, including Shayna Mehta, who we highlighted in our Open. Shot clock already down to 10 for the Bears, who have a potent offense but are coming off an historically bad weekend. Shot clock down to 4 seconds now. As Dominique Leonidas drives and leaves it short, Columbia gets that first rebound. Markham to Durr underneath, and she's got back-to-back layups to start out this campaign.
And 2 easy ones for the freshman. They're going to have to find a way to defend her down low. She was just able to catch and go right up with it. This is the Lions' leading scorer and rebounder.
Ball knocked out of bounds and will remain Bears possession in the Brown Road uniforms. Erica Steves does the honors. She's a senior out of Montreal. And then Dominique Leonidas, who's a sophomore from Stone Mountain, Georgia, one of the few underclassmen that you'll see log major minutes for the Bears. Once again, shot clock into single digits. Leonidas looking underneath, but lobs it to Steves and over her head, right into the hands of the Columbia Lions. The pull-up J for Janiyah Clemens, and so far, it's a 3-for-3 start, and these Lions are out to a 6-0 lead in the first 90 seconds.
And Clemens has patented that pull-up mid-range jumper. She loves that, rarely even touches rim on those.
Defensively, they are last place in the league, giving up 78 points per game, talking about the Bears here, but they average nearly 71 points per game, so they're in a lot of close and late situations. but have a 9-game losing skid. In the lane, little pull-up for Dominique Leonidas, and she puts Brown on the board.
And yeah, Amy, this Bears team, 4 players averaging in double figures, which is pretty rare in the Ivy League. But like you said, they've just struggled to slow down teams defensively.
Jediah Clemens on the right wing. Sienna Durr steps out, turns, fires. That one's no good. And the rebound underneath, controlled by Taylor Will. We mentioned her at the start. The senior out of Arlington Heights, Illinois, suffered a concussion late in the game against Cornell and maybe could have played in the last game, we were told. However, they kept her out for precautionary reasons. Don't want to mess around with head injuries, and she's now back in the starting lineup.
Certainly a welcome addition. As you mentioned, this team struggled to score last weekend, just 49 points per game.
Justine Gaziano with her first attempt and her first bucket. The junior out of Natick, Massachusetts, second in the Ivy League in scoring, nearly 19 points per game. And that one's a 3 that pulls the Bears within a point. Little bump from Dominique Leonidas at the top of the key, and Michaela Markham draws the contact. Inbound far side directly across from our location here inside Levian Gymnasium. Riley Casey comes to get that basketball from Markham. First time Casey's touching the ball. Markham with the nosedive down the lane, but then slides that pivot foot, and it's a turnover for Columbia.
And that's a rare turnover for Markham, leading this team in assist to turnover ratio, 4th in the Ivy League as just a freshman.
3 minutes gone by in the opening quarter, this critical final home weekend for Columbia in the regular season schedule. Still very much alive for that number 4 spot, the number 4 seed in the Ivy League tournament, which takes place in 2 weeks. The long shot no good for Taylor Will, and Lillian Kennedy with the rebound on the other end. Another one of the first years for Coach Megan Griffith. Kennedy actually had a career high with 13 points against Brown in their meeting in Providence. She was 6 for 6 from the floor.
Yeah, she hasn't scored too much consistently this season, but has really been a strong force for them on the boards.
Gaziano goes baseline, misses the reverse layup. Markham with the weak side board, pushing the tempo. Brown back on defense to clog the lane, and one of those steals from Shayna Mehta. She's so good at that. Now 4 shy of a new single season Brown record, 91 steals so far this year.
Tops in the Ivy League, 4.5 per game. She is in your face, hands all over the place defensively.
Guarded by Riley Casey, takes the 3 anyway and drains it. So Shayna Mehta gives Brown its first lead. It's 8-6 as we approach the midway point of the first quarter.
You certainly can't defend Mehta without a hand up. 5th all-time in Ivy League history with 250 career threes entering tonight.
Markham can't answer, but Durr with the offensive board. The runner off the glass and good.
So far, Sienna Durr just dominant down low in the paint. They haven't had an answer for her. They're going to have to make it tougher for her to even catch it down there.
Durr already has 6 points, averages 14 and a half. She's tops on the team in both scoring and rebounding, and a 5-time Ivy League Rookie of the Week once she's been named Player of the Week. That turnaround 3-pointer no good for Erica Steves. You can see her, she's wearing the mask, easy to spot on the court. Clemens with the pull-up J, and that's her 2nd bucket.
And Amy, I thought that was pretty good defense, but just even a tougher shot by Clemens, who had a few inches down by Gaziano and able to just pull up and shoot right over the top.
Still have not had a break in the action, so we've gone 5.5 minutes. Columbia up 10-8, couple of lead changes already in this first quarter. Gaziano on the low block, kicks it out to Taylor Will. Shot clock at 4 now. Will backing down Casey, high off the glass and good to tie the game at 10. Durr takes the touchdown pass. A wild shot, though, off the glass from the right side. And that will bring us to our first break in this opening quarter. A back-and-forth affair. Justine Gaziano, who has the potential to light it up, gets an early 3 to put the Bears right in the mix. And we are tied. This is Columbia basketball on SNY. With the Columbia women's basketball team still in the mix for a spot in the Ivy League tournament, it brings out the alum, Lauren Dwyer, a 1,000-point scorer who graduated from Columbia in 2011, and my partner Kim Adams played against her.
Yes, I remember Lauren well. Definitely gave our post players some headaches down there. A consistent scorer. Always remember having some good battles in this gymnasium, as I was right outside the city. So I always enjoyed coming here to play and having a lot of family and friends.
As we begin the second quarter, Amy Lawrence alongside Kim Adams. Brown up 20-18. The lead has already changed 5 times in just the first quarter, and Shayna Mehta will add her triple. She and Justine Gaziano sparking this offense. Dominique Leonidas as well. Brown 9 of 18 from the floor, so shooting 50% to start this game. But Janiyah Clemens has also found herself a groove. She's now 5 of 7 in field goals, has 11 points, and becomes the first to get double figures. We're barely into the second quarter.
Yeah, but Amy, this Brown team has certainly refound their offense. We mentioned it last weekend, just 49 points per game. They shot 28% from 3. They're already 5 of 8 from 3 here tonight.
Like to use all of the shot clock, at least early in this game. They're not pushing the tempo like they've been known to. Shot clock down to 2 now. Into the corner for a late 3 that's nowhere close by Gaziano. She was just heaving it up there. Brown will give that ball back to Columbia.
And here's Markham leading the team in assists as just a freshman into Janiyah Clemens, who hasn't seemed to miss a bucket anytime I've seen her play this season. She is just on quite a tear.
Markham now has 112 assists. As a freshman, she's in the top 10 for single season marks. The record is held by her head coach, 148 assists in a season. It would be quite a feat for Markham to reach that with just a handful of games remaining. However, there could be tournament play. Here Markham picks up the foul. Nowhere near a bonus situation, just the first one in the second quarter with 90 seconds gone by. Riley Casey will check back in the basketball game, replacing Markham.
And on that last possession, who was it? Janiyah Clemens again. She's already passed her season scoring average, a minute and a half into the second quarter. She's got 13.
All alone, top of the key, Erica Steeves had plenty of time to shoot. That one off the mark, and Riley Casey there for the rebound. She had 10 rebounds in their win at Brown 2 weeks ago. Clemens shouting out some instructions. Columbia trying to get organized on this offensive possession. A give and go, Clemens straight down the lane and kisses it off the glass. She now has 15 points in this basketball game. Traveling violation there by Stephanie Flynn. So the drought is over with the free throw, but still no field goals going back to the first 15 seconds of this quarter for Brown.
And they did a really good job attacking the zone. Columbia now back to a man-to-man. So they have to get back into their offense, which is a lot of moving and cuts.
The handoff to Gaziano straight away. One dribble, launches the 3, it's no good, but she'll get her hands on the basketball again. This time she drives, that one's too strong, and Flynn with yet another rebound. Ahead to McCormick, doesn't have numbers, goes anyway, and kisses it off the glass. Andrea McCormick with the bucket to put Columbia up by 9, and the bench is fired up.
Andrea McCormick averaging 1.6 points per game on the season. On that drive, it looks like she averages 20, coming off the bench with full confidence. The sophomore guard adding a lift on the defensive end as well.
I love the celebration by her teammates, and that generally happens in women's college basketball. You get teammates who are so supportive. They know how hard you work in practice, even if you don't get the time on the court during games, and they're thrilled for McCormick. She gives the Lions a 9-point lead as we approach 3 minutes to go before halftime.
McCormick also really locked in defensively right now.
Lob pass inside to Steeves against Madison Hardy's defense. Ball rolls off the rim. Clemens there for the rebound. Casey dives baseline, and she goes right-handed, draws the contact, and she will head to the charity stripe. First field goal of the game for Riley Casey. Has a chance to make it a 3-point play.
And who's starting that play? Janiyah Clemens over to Casey with the crafty up and under layup, draws the contact. And again, early on, it was really the Clemens and Durr show, but now we're seeing the regular suspects start to step up here. Riley Casey gets her first bucket of the game.
McCormick sits down but gets a huge hand from the Columbia fans as she meets her teammates on the bench. Casey with the free throw, one of the best free throw shooters in the conference, and that's a 12-point lead for the Lions, their largest of the game, under 3 minutes to go in this opening half. Steeves through traffic across the timeline, and Brown still searching for its first field goal in 7 minutes now. The drought extends 7 minutes, just a couple of free throws in there. Haley Green standing at the right elbow, shot clock running down. Leonidas takes the handoff, lobs inside to Steeves, out to Gaziano. That three rattles around. Meta tries to save it on the baseline, but it's back to Columbia.
And the Brown offense just looks a little bit out of sorts right now. People aren't sure who's cutting where. That time they got a good bailout play with a nice pass out of the post, but they're gonna have to settle in as a team and figure out which offense they're running.
No full court pressure here by the Brown Bears, instead fading back into their defense. Clemens with the basketball. To Casey, left wing three, yes! Riley Casey back-to-back three-point possessions. First the old-fashioned variety, and now her first triple of the game. She's got 6 points.
And that's where she likes to heat up. We've seen her have some big-time games from behind the arc.
Still no field goal. It's got to be frustrating at this point for Haley Green for the Brown Bears. Hardy travels before she can get that three off, but we're talking about a drought. No buckets going back now almost 8 minutes, Kim. Coming up on the New York Presbyterian halftime report, we'll have a look at a special campus tradition, plus highlights and stats from this one between Columbia and Brown at Levy and Jim.
When you're in an extended drought like this, you want to get something going to the basket. Get to the free throw line.
Meta finally ends that drought. Shayna Meta, the senior from San Francisco, who averages just over 16 points per game, has her third triple of the game, but answering on the other end is one Riley Casey.
And Brown is just not doing a good job of getting back and locating players in secondary transition, locating shooters. Everything has been very easy for the Lions.
Just over a minute to go before halftime. Columbia with a torrid pace here in the second quarter. Only at 18 points after the opening frame, and now sitting on 43. Leonidas' shot is blocked by Sienna Durr into the hands of Clemens, who starts the break. Casey again from deep. That was high off the rim. Rebound tipped out. Last touch by the Bears, and with 47 seconds left before halftime, Columbia retains the ball.
And here's that monster block. Sienna Durr, just a freshman, saying not in my gym. Her team is up big here. Everything's going the right way for the Lions.
Clemens to Hardy, she'll take the long three. That one's off the mark, but Durr there for the offensive rebound. Put back is no good, and finally, Haley Green takes it away. Under 30 seconds to go, but a 3-second differential between game clock and shot clock. So Brown will have to take a bucket, or take an attempt.
This is a crucial possession for them. You want to go into the locker room with some sort of momentum after such an extended scoring drought.
Leonidas in traffic, just got blocked by Sienna Durr. Shot clock down to 3, 2, 1. She's trapped underneath. Shot clock violation. Clemens will keep the basketball, and as the buzzer sounds, a heave that is just short. But what a second quarter for the Columbia Lions, breaking out offensively and taking what was a 3-point lead, ballooning it to 15, 43-28. This is Columbia basketball on SNY. Inside Levy and Gymnasium, a halftime lead of 43-28 for Columbia, seeking another win in Ivy League and a spot in that conference tournament in 2 weeks. Amy Lawrence alongside Kim Adams. What a second quarter it was for the Lions. They take a 3-point lead and they blow it up to 15, and their offense was in sync.
Offensive burst for the Lions, 25 points in that second quarter, shooting 58% from the field. A lot of players have gotten it done for the Lions, but we'll start with Brown. They had a good first quarter. You have two of the top three scorers in the Ivy League, and Shayna Mehta there knocking down a three, and then over to her counterpart, Justine Gaziano. They led by two after one. Gaziano knocking down a few. She leads the conference in three-point field goal percentage. But then Sienna Durr and Janiyah Clemens absolutely took over. They had 24 of the Lions' first 27 points. Durr was getting it done inside, outside. This time over to Clemens, who knocked down a rare three. She usually likes it in that painted area. Say, I can knock it down from there too, and she was just lethal. As we said, already surpassed her season scoring average in that first half. And then Riley Casey, she got hot, the layup, knocked down a few trays, and this Columbia offense just has it firing on all cylinders. 15-point lead over Brown as they look to stay alive in the hunt for the Ivy Madness.
Here are the halftime statistics brought to you by Pure Silk Moisturizing Shave Cream, and you point out the 58% shooting from the floor. All of Riley Casey's 9 points coming in that second quarter. Clemens and Durr, it's an all-out onslaught against Brown.
And you look at the assist numbers. Again, we pointed it out earlier, 13 assists on 18 field goals. Again, in their previous game against Princeton, they had just 5 for the whole game. So this is a complete free-flowing offense on display here.
A 25-8 burst in that second quarter to give the Lions a 43-28 lead. Second half is coming up. This is Columbia basketball on SNY.